Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hold on. I had my sound off.
Oh, hang on, Beesies. Hey. Yep. Hi. No, I didn't send it out. I just here, I'll send it out. It's on the website. It's on the the meeting website, and I'm on already. So let me I'll look at what rec committee it is and I'll send it out. We're meeting right now. Yep. All right. Bye. Sorry, hold on a second. Beezy said I needed to send this out.
Oh. Is Beezy not going to be here?
Yeah, she is. She was just having so much trouble with hold on, I can't talk and type at the same time. Let's see, what am I searching for? Christine Robinson. That's good. There we go. Send out to all. Here's the Zoom link. She was having so much trouble with figuring out how to Zoom and be the host. She couldn't figure it how to use the town Zoom site, and I'm surprised. Okay, Meryl is joining us. Meryl is the garden club.
Oh, great.
So she's joining us. Hi, Meryl.
Oh, Meryl's muted.
Meryl, you're muted. I can unmute her.
I am not muted.
Now you're not muted. There you go.
And let me put my video on.
All right.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Meryl. I'm Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
And there's Christine. Christine is coming.
Great.
Is.
Who is on the rec committee now?
It's Beezy is the chair, myself, Barbara, Christine.
Two Christines.
There's two Christines.
Can't have enough Christines.
Can't. Okay, Beezy is joining us soon, I hope.
Barbara, I'm sorry I screwed up. I really screwed up my part.
What'd you do?
I forgot what I was supposed to do.
Oh,
wait a minute, you took the minutes.
I know.
You're the one who told us.
Well, I wrote down the parts, but then when I actually looked at the form, I just made a wild guess. Are these the right parts? And I feel like I didn't do
call real quick.
I just don't think I did quite what I was supposed to. But anyway, Barbara seems to have fixed it all up for us, I hope, anyway.
That's great. I'm grabbing my tea. Waiting for Beezy. And is Christine going to join us? Do you know?
I would think so. Let me send her a text and an email and see if either of those reach her.
Anyone been out driving today?
No.
No.
Not much reason to leave home these days unless you need food.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah. Just stay home.
I made a delicious French onion soup for lunch. That was so good.
Sounds like a good thing. I can't tell really if it's rain or snow.
Well, right now here it looks like snow, but it's borderline for sure.
Yeah. So who else is in the garden club, Meryl? Oh, she's here. She's coming.
It's quite unofficial, but it's really myself, Penny, Rita, who are the three key organizers, and then Pam. Pam Osowski
Mhm.
helps a lot. And then we have a bunch of other volunteers that help on and off, but I'd say it's really me, Rita, and Penny Jakes that are the key three.
I think it's funny that BZ just texted me that she can't figure out how to get on. I'm gonna give everybody a schooling as soon as she's here.
She really is.
You need to go to the town website and just hit meetings and go down to calendar, and it's right there on the calendar. That's where it always is for all the meetings.
And you just sent an email to us.
I just sent an email too, because she said she hadn't gotten it, but you don't need to. All you keep track of. She doesn't see the email.
Oh, I'm going to send it to her, even though you did just send it.
Yeah. Not getting it, she said.
Elaine, maybe she blocked you.
Go to the town website. Okay, did you send it to her?
I just forwarded to her, yeah, like 2 minutes ago.
Is she the chair, did you say?
Yeah.
She is the chair, yeah. So she has to be here.
We'll see.
Can we put in requests, Elaine?
Elaine, are you reading this month's book club book, Going South?
There she is. I gave up on it.
Okay, I get it.
All right. Hi, BZ.
Sorry
Easy.
about that. Jesus, I was looking for an email. I'm trying to do 10 different things.
It was in an email, but it's okay. Don't
know.
worry about it.
Okay.
I was just
So,
multitasking and I wasn't successful.
so BZ calls meeting to order at 1:37.
Yes, as
Here we
soon as he
go.
arrives.
Can we approve the minutes from the previous meeting? They were very brief.
Yes.
Yeah, they were good.
I make a motion to approve.
Great. So now our application, can we dive into that?
Yep.
Yeah. Barbara, thank you for all that work. Jesus.
Yeah, you did so much.
Great.
Yeah. And to let everybody know, Elaine and Barbara and I went up and walked around the behind town hall on Monday to sort of see what the lay of the land was.
Mhm.
Literally. And I recommend you to go do it because it actually gives you a
Mhm.
sense of what, at least I had a better sense of what we were doing,
I
or
agree.
what we haven't done. So I think the big thing today is to really try to nail down our budget issues that Barbara had in that email.
The other thing that I would suggest we do today is really clarify exactly what the goals are, because then that way everything else just kind of falls out from that. So I went through what Christine had written and I pulled out some goals from that. We just need to say, yes, these are the goals, or they're not. And then for each goal, I developed some ways of measuring them. So just make sure everybody thinks, yes, those are the goals. Make sure we don't have any others. I recommend keeping it to 3 or 4 goals maximum, because otherwise we end up having to do a huge amount of assessment.
Barbara, is there a way you can, your sound is really
Okay,
hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like she's talking at the bottom of a pool. She's,
There.
There you go. Thank
Okay,
you.
okay.
Barbara, are there goals in what you sent us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, I took that. Do we want to start there or with the budget?
let's start with that.
With
Let's
the goals? Okay. So here are the goals that I took from Christine's write-up in our conversations. 1, provide gardens for people who do not have feasible gardening land of their own or want to garden in community with others.
Mhm.
2, strengthen community bonds. 3, create recreational opportunities. And 4, promote cross-generational teaching for residents of Shutesbury.
Good.
You
Yep.
like those?
Those
Okay.
are good. Strong.
And then in terms of measuring, the first one is very straightforward. We just, that's going to be finding out, are we meeting our target audience? Presumably the people who will be there will not be people who do not want to garden. So that's easy. The second one is very subjective, but I found this thing called farmconcrete.com, and they had developed an assessment tool for community gardens. And they had all kinds of different tools that they would use to measure things. And I think that we'll easily be able to adapt some of that to be able to measure whether we're strengthening community bonds. Creating recreational opportunities. These seem to, and the promoting cross-generational teaching seem to are talking about an impact on the wider community, not just on people who are using the garden. And so with those, as I recall, someone sent an email out saying that Marianne was suggesting some readings, but I think that we can encourage people to develop programs to bring kids, whatever, and then those programs would be the measure of success.
Yeah, I was thinking that when school's back in session, they always like to have the kindergartners come up and meet the police chief and meet, everybody. They walk up to town hall, and it'll be great that they could walk up and they could see the gardens, and they could actually, some of the classes could use it in their science projects as monitoring different things, water quality, rainfall, sunlight, all those kinds of things. So there's plenty things related to the garden. I would like to preface this with the fact that I am on the Community Preservation Committee, and this is like a no-brainer for them. We've been waiting for it. So I think it's great that we're putting this all together, but it's a no-brainer.
Great. Okay, well then in that case, all I'm going to do is a little bit more editing on the goals section and on the community needs section so that it all reinforces each other.
Great.
Okay, and then we're all set with that.
Okay.
And Christine, did you have any trouble doing the writing? Like, did you have any parts of it that you struggled with?
Me?
Yeah.
This Christine, yeah,
Yeah.
I just struggled totally. Barbara has made a coherent thing out of this, thank God. But could I just note, what was the name of the resource you found, Barbara, that you said we could have?
Farmers Concrete.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's right in the proposal.
it's in the proposal.
Oh, okay. Is that a website?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's farm concrete, not farmers.
Oh, Farm Concrete, thank you.
Okay.
I'm getting a different image of that when you say farmers. concrete.
Well, it's footwear.
Little shoes, concrete block shoes.
To
As
slow
a
you down.
gardener, I'm thinking you don't want the soil to be like concrete. That's not.
Oh, yeah, it was kind of an odd name because when you Google farm concrete, it comes up with concrete. But
Right.
this farmconcrete.com has these tools. Okay, great.
Cool.
So,
All right, what's the next section?
well, I think we're pretty much all set with all the other sections. And thank you, Christine and Christine, for those write-ups. It really, actually, I don't know if you two talked, but there was a lot of agreement between the two of you in terms of what you were presenting, which made it really easy for me. So thank you for that.
Christine's all think alike. So
Yeah. Oh, okay. You
we
get
didn't
to,
have to talk.
so you get to Shutesbury, it's in the water. Okay. Group think. So I don't know if anybody had chance to go through the budget that I sent out.
Yes.
There's still some unknowns in here. I think I got pretty good estimates on the soil, on the fencing, and thank you to Elaine and John. John went out and figured out exactly what we would need. And then there was the stuff about rabbit fencing where the holes were small at the bottom and large at the top. And I had no idea what she was talking about. And even after you sent, I didn't realize that it was that stuff. I thought, so are we supposed to cut holes, 4x4 holes at the top of the fence? Anyway, now I know what rabbit guard is. The holes are smaller at the bottom, at the top. So I've got the estimates in for all of that, for
And
the
is
wood
there-
chips.
Wait, for the fencing, did you do the one that was the galvanized or the painted?
All I know is it was called green fencing. I did what he had suggested.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so it's called, yeah, I forgot to write that in. It's green fencing.
Okay.
Meryl, you have a comment on that?
I have no, not about the fencing, but I have a question on the soil.
Yeah,
Did you include money in there for compost? 'Cause
yes. Okay, now Meryl, this is where I would like, I know nothing about gardening, so I learned a good deal. And one of the things that I read was that soil to compost for vegetable garden should be 2 to 1. Each bed requires 7.5 cubic yards. So I was just calculating it by 5 cubic yards soil per bed and 2.5 cubic yards compost. Does that sound like the right?
Sounds very reasonable.
Okay, good.
And, people will be able to bring their own if
Yeah.
they want to add any of their own additives. And that's another thing that was in the proposal was that the library is going to provide master garden classes and
Right.
they'll promote those. So I think I wrote that in there.
Yeah.
That's part of the in-kind, the town in-kind work. And I'm sure that the garden club would love to do some master garden classes.
Oh, we have a master gardener on the garden.
Right.
Penny
that's right,
Jakes
yeah.
is
Yeah.
official master gardener, so she could probably get some credit for doing that. So
Yeah.
I would guess
And,
she'd
and
be-
we'd love to get you guys involved in the, there's gonna be a lot of physical work to be done.
And let me just say that that's probably not where we want to get involved, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, no, but
Because we have, 4 gardens locations we're maintaining now, and
uh-huh.
we are getting more volunteers. It was mostly just,
Well, that's what I was thinking. You would,
Penny and Rita doing the work, and
yeah,
we're happy to advise on some level, but we don't want to take on another
no,
huge.
no, I was
crazy
thinking you would have
responsibility.
a way to get volunteers. You would have some people you would, have offered to help you in the past that might want to help, do some. I also think we haven't talked about this, but I think we need to add some labor costs. in.
That's it. I wrote that in here that we
Hey,
need to do.
Christine
that. Yeah,
has her hand
Christine,
up.
yeah.
Christine,
Oh, you need to unmute.
Unmute.
You're still
Yeah.
muted. There, great.
Okay. Thanks, guys. So I talked to Tim and I talked to Steve and they offered to till,
Oh, great.
when we needed that at that point. But I did talk to Nancy Logan and she was supposed to email Merrill and Company and ask you guys for your expertise and
I can barely hear you.
yeah, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Better, yeah.
All right, I talked to Tim and Steve at the highway department there,
mm-hmm,
and they said it will help us.
okay.
To do what?
Tilling. They're
Till-
gonna do the tilling. That's great.
And Nancy Logan, I spoke to her, and she is supposed to email you, Meryl, as well as the rest of your club and ask for your expertise. We will do the labor. We want expertise for gardening and whatever that we need. That's all.
Yeah, we can help with that.
Thanks.
I was thinking we could even like, if we put in to have Clarks come and basically take off, the top layer of stuff and make a pile of it in a corner. Because that is going to be a bitch to get in there. When we were walking around in there, that is, you can't just go in and till that. It's not, you're going to have some big machinery come in initially, I think.
Can you tell me where behind town hall you're planning to
if
do
you're-
this?
if
And
you're-
just one second, and also, are you planning to use the existing soil as a starter, or are you going to bring in all the soil, or are you gonna do raised beds?
Okay, so here's the thing. If you are standing at the solar panels and you're looking back, if you look to the far left in the back, that is a relatively flat spot way back, almost to the trees, and that's where we're going to put it. It is very thickly thatched right now. And so we would have to scrape the top off of it because it's just going to be full of all those roots and it's going to have a lot of rocks in it. So I agree, Beezy, we should probably have it skimmed off. But I'm not sure that we don't have that equipment available in town. I think we do, to skim that off. And then we could put that in a pile. You're right, it can be piled to the back. And it might break down in a year or two, but we are gonna have to put soil in there, I think.
I will, you absolutely will. But I'd also like to have you think about, if you're planning to put it back there, a couple of things. One is just the logistics of people working there and getting all their stuff back there. That's going to be really hard. And the other thing to think about is that in addition to soil, the other really important with a garden, especially a vegetable garden, is to have good sunlight.
Yeah.
And if
it's
you're
got great
stuffed in the
sunlight.
back corner,
No, it's
No.
got really good sunlight. It's got
Okay.
really good sun.
someone checked all day long?
Yep.
Okay, well, that's good.
It's got
And-
really good sun. It's got more sun than my vegetable garden, and my garden is extremely healthy. So I was basing it on my garden.
And what about getting stuff all the way back there, though? People
We're
who
gonna
wanna
have
work-
wheelbarrows. We're purchasing
Carts or wheelbarrows.
carts, and people are just gonna have to walk back there because there's no place forward that we could do it because of the well on one side, the leach field on the other side, and the access to the utility sheds and the broadband shed. We could not put a road through or access like that, and we can't do the upper part because we want to save that for community activities.
Okay,
So it really is the only.
that's your only choice.
Yeah.
And was there a reason that you decided behind town hall as opposed to lot 32?
Lot 32, we wanted to keep the front area of it open for potential building, maybe the new library, different possible senior housing, all those kinds of things is much more viable on lot 032. And the only part that we could use would be the back. It's the same thing. And then there's no bathrooms, there's no water access, anything at that point. So we figured that town hall is the best.
And I think that soil at lot 032 was taken off. The top layer of the soil was removed there.
The back part, yeah, but the
Yeah.
front part that's closer to the road.
Right.
I
But
would
I-
think
you know,
there's
but-
enough room though there.
Yeah, but if we have a library project that actually happens there, we don't want to establish gardens and then have the library come in and want to use, we could get
Even-
into trouble there with,
Even construction would make it hard.
Okay, just
Yeah.
curious.
yeah, we looked at behind the school. We've talked about the school too. But that's tricky because you can't be there when the kids are there, and the kids are there till 5 o'clock every day, 5:30 every day. And so it would be limited,
We looked at behind the fire station and decided that that is already a field. It's a usable recreation field. And, maybe one of our future endeavors will be to enhance that as a recreational field. And also parking there would be constricted with the fire station. And once again, no bathroom facilities. And so town hall became the most viable spot.
And the other issue with way in the back there, just to mention, and I'm sure you've thought about this, but I'm just curious how you're handling it, is that you're gonna at times need to water the garden.
Yep, we
Yeah.
have water already planned. We're gonna do a large tank, a water tank, gravity-fed water tank that's 1,000 gallons.
And have the fire department fill it up occasionally, or?
We've asked them, they haven't answered us yet.
but we're assuming they'll do it. It could
Okay,
be,
that would be great.
they're like old sap maple syrup.
Nope, it's gonna
Tanks,
be a real tank.
Oh, it is going to be a real tank? We looked into different things.
Mhm.
They have them in Pelham. You ever seen the Pelham Community Gardens?
I
Meryl?
haven't, I heard about it, but I
Yeah.
haven't gone over and looked.
So we've been looking at theirs as sort of a model a little bit.
Sure. Leverett has one at the school too. They have a little greenhouse.
Mhm,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. And the Northampton community gardens are amazing, but that's a whole nother level.
right.
But they have a shed there with at the community gardens in Northampton that have the wheelbarrows that are attached with a lock chain, which is what we would do. We would chain them up to probably the solar posts, and give people who have gardens they'll get a combination whatever, so that they can unlock it and take their stuff back there. But that's what they have in Northampton. So
I liked the idea that Barbara, that you were talking about in the budget about a shed. Because that way we could keep the, no, we are not going to use that kind of shed. It's going to be a metal shed.
Okay. Sore spot. Never mind.
Metal shed. I like the idea of having a shed that's big enough that we could put 2 garden carts and whatever, if people want to bring watering cans and leave them there, bring tools and leave them there, that would be fine. I think that the galvanized steel shed is totally within our budget and is the right. I don't think we need to go to the $5,000 shed routine. We don't need a wooden shed. And
So Elaine, do we have to, we can spread this out over a couple years, right?
I think we can spread the whole thing out. I did get confirmation today. We had our meeting today, and the funds will not be available until July 1.
Mhm.
And so the idea that we're going to be up and running for this year's gardening season is highly unlikely. I mean, we'll get the whole thing. I think our goal this year should be to get the topsoil removed, to get new soil in, to start digging, not even the compost this year. The compost can be first thing next year. We could do a cover crop this year that would enhance the soil in the plots, and we can get the agreements put together, signed. We can get the people who are going to be part of it signed up. We can get the the fencing in, all of that done the first year. And it'll be spring of 2022 that we actually start gardening, putting seeds in the soil.
Just, you mentioned not, you should, with preparing the soil, you really should add the compost into the soil when you mix it up and put it in right at the start. There are additions of future compost that you should do, but
Sure.
as a start, your soil is the most important thing. You want to include your 1/3 compost right at the start when you put the soil down, because otherwise you don't get it mixed in fully and you lose a huge opportunity. You only start a garden once typically, so that's when you want to add.
We could put put manure in there too. I don't think we have anything with manure, and that would be really good to put that in the first year and have it,
Again, beware with that because you're bringing in tons of weed seeds, even composted manure.
Mhm.
I mean, you're better off getting well composted compost to start with.
I have a question. When you said the leach field and the well are there, does
Mhm.
that mean that no trucks can drive back there?
There's a very narrow path that you can go back there with on the side of the broadband shed.
Oh, okay.
That's what they have. That's how fire department and such go back there. But yeah, it's
Okay.
very narrow. You're not going to get a big truck going back there. You're not going to get one of the big Clark trucks going back there. You can get a pickup truck back there.
Okay, so how do we get the the topsoil? I mean, get the
Pickup
top layer
trucks. Pickup trucks.
with
I mean,
a,
that size of a truck.
okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but it's doable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Barbara, what are the budget issues that we need to sort of come up with to help you finish the?
Well, I don't know that, I think at this point, it should not be on one person because there's too many decisions that I've been having to make in doing this. But before I get to the budget, Meryl, I just have a question for you. So what I did was I assumed, well, we had decided the beds would be 10 by 20 feet, which is the same size as the beds in Pelham. And I was calculating the soil based on 1 foot depth. Now, if we have that top level taken off, should there be some other soil that's going down before we bring in the soil for the beds? Or do we just scrape off that thatch and then bring in the soil and compost?
That should be fine.
Okay, great.
Great.
Then-
I don't even see why if you need to take off anything, if you're just gonna make sort of a raised bed. I mean, I would just put it right on top of what's there.
Now we're gonna, what's there, it's really thatch covered,
Yeah.
and so it's very root bound. So I would suggest taking that, skimming that top off so that it's, all the roots are pulled out of there, and the top part of the most of the rocks that are there. Also, it's gonna give us a chance to level it. So it'll be easier to level if we just scrape the top off. I mean, it's not grass. Trust me, it's not grass. It's
Mhm.
spiky
Thatch.
thatch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not going to be something that we're going to be able to till up at all.
Right, but I'm just thinking, if you're gonna do that, I would take off the minimum, just take off
Oh,
the
yeah.
very little bit to get the junk off the top, but not dig in and take stuff off.
Yeah. We're going to take just the junk off the top, and the it's probably going to be maybe 2-3 inches of root that we're going to take off, and then we're going to till that first and get that lower layer. I mean, I'm a double digger myself, so we'll till the lower layer and get that mixed up, and then bring the soil in.
It's going to be a rock
Yeah,
color.
I mean, I'm not sure it's worth, that's a humongous amount of effort, whether it's worth doing that. I think if you take it off, you just build up on top of that. Again, it's up to you. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
suggest what you
Yeah,
do.
it
but
might
I'm
not work. It might
not
not.
sure that it's worth the effort.
I'm a vegetable gardener, and that's what I do for vegetables, because if
Yeah.
you're gonna do anything like carrots or any root vegetables, you have to have more than a foot.
What's the the dimensions of the whole area that you're planning to put in?
70 by 54
70 by 54, you said?
to accommodate 12 beds with
That's
1
great.
foot, with 4-foot pathways between them that'll be covered with wood chips.
Great,
We're not sure how many people will do it, you know.
sure.
But I think as if we start this project, people see it going on, you know, it'll generate. I mean, we had a really good response from the, you know, survey that we put out there. Like, we got 15 people responded like
I
that.
just got another one today.
Well, and
So,
it might take a couple of years, few years to get full participation, but it may then become a problem of how much you would expand, but that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
right.
Well, it's not as, because when I was picturing it, it is not abutting the woods at the back. There's room to extend quite a distance behind before getting
Okay,
to
great.
the trees. So at this point, I mean, one of the things that I think we need to talk about is if the whole thing is going to be scraped and then soil brought in, does it make sense to just get the soil for the whole bed, or do we leave some of it? So
I
right
think we
now,
leave
our
it.
plan is to do 8 beds, but then there's going to be this area where there would be 4 beds. That's going to be what? Just the thatch within the fence?
No, I think we
Do
do
the whole
the
thing.
whole thing.
Okay.
We do the whole
Okay.
thing and get ready for 12 beds.
Okay, and then one more question. If we're going to need more than a foot of soil, and if once you go down 2 inches in Shutesbury, you hit a pile of rocks, does it make sense to bring in another foot of dirt and then put on top of that the loam and the compost?
I'm sorry, Barbara, could you repeat that?
Yes, sure. So the issue was raised that underneath all that thatch will be
Mhm.
rocks.
Right.
And that if anybody wants to grow a root vegetable, they will not be able to in a foot of soil and compost. So should we put into the budget, bringing in an additional foot of dirt that would go on underneath? Elaine, you're shaking your head no.
No.
No,
Okay.
but what you might want to do though is get some extra cubic yardage in a pile.
Good
for
idea.
people who have specific
Okay.
needs to add to, and also extra compost in a pile if people
Yeah.
want to add it in. Not tons and tons of extra, but just enough so if you have specific needs.
Okay,
I
that
mean,
sounds great.
we could do the full area with what we have in the budget here, and then we could even have the 50-pound bags of compost that you can buy at, you know, like Hadley Garden, and just keep a couple of those in the shed if people want to enhance theirs.
Couple will go nowhere. That's, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a really expensive way to do it that way. You should, if you're gonna be bringing in truckloads, bring in a couple of extra truckloads, and maybe what you could do is just, if you don't have all 12 plots accounted for to start with, maybe use one of them dedicated to holding some of that extra material.
We should have a tarp then.
I was gonna say, maybe we should get some heavy duty tarp
Mhm.
to go over the beds, even, you know, so we don't get a lot of weeds blowing in on top after we prepare all this, if we're not gonna really plan it until 2022. That we have some plastic tarps to cover the beds.
I kind of think you can leave that to the people who are gonna take over those.
Yeah, we
areas.
could, we could.
I mean, if you find at the end of the maybe first season of actual gardening that there are a lot of open ones still, then maybe at that point, just get some plastic or cardboard. The town
Yeah.
generates plenty of cardboard and cover those areas, but I don't think you want to see half the thing covered with plastic to start
Yeah.
with.
Okay.
Actually,
But a
what
couple of tarps to cover the extra materials is a good idea.
Yeah.
Mhm.
to cover the extra materials, to cover the beds, what I would suggest is that we bring in grass clippings. Because if people have grass clippings, it's great for mulch and it just enhances the beds.
As
Yeah.
long as you know that they're not using any pesticides or anything in their yards.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Sid Remain, the director of the Pelham Gardens, she mentioned that they asked for a commitment from their gardeners to put the beds to sleep for the winter, particularly because an individual might not come back the next year, might go to somebody else, and then, yeah, to put cover and all of that.
And they look they look good. I just saw them last week.
Yeah, they look
And,
great.
and they did do a lot of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got, I mean, this is kind of down the road a little bit, but gotten sample agreements that maybe Pelham uses
Yeah.
with their people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we
yeah,
have.
great.
Mhm.
So do we have other budget issues to settle?
Yes,
Look at
yes.
those.
We should push ahead on that.
Yeah,
Okay, well, I'm going to increase the soil in the compost. Please give me feedback on that, because what I will likely do is put it in for the whole area, the whole
Yep.
fenced area.
okay.
We talked about the water tank, the wood chip delivery. I'm not sure how to put this into the budget yet. My inclination is to overestimate on the delivery because I don't know whether we're going to be able to get people who have pickup trucks who can go to Megan's Valley or wherever we get things and deliver. But they charge $125 per delivery to Shutesbury. And if that's per order, that's not bad. But if it's per vehicle or truck, that's going to get high.
So wait a minute, Barbara, for the wood chips, what
Mhm.
about having, how much were you charged for the wood chips from?
I assumed those were gonna come from more locally. So that's only at $110 for 10 cubic yards.
Yeah, okay, and that's plenty.
Yeah, yeah. Water tank, we talked about. The fence, I would, if people could please just read through the fencing at some point, or I could go through it really quickly. The outside part of the fence is pretty straightforward. It will be the green fencing with T-posts and rabbit guard at the bottom. How long do zip ties have to be? I don't know. I put in for 8-inch ones, but a bag of 500 is $5, so that's hardly a big deal.
You put in 8 foot, actually.
Oh, I did 8-foot zip ties. Oh, that'll definitely be long enough.
Now, the
Okay.
8 ones are fine.
Yeah, I was thinking about 10 foot, but I don't know. Okay. All right. We'll stick with 8 inches. The pressure treated, for a little bit more, we get the cedar rather than the pressure treated wood. I would say we go with the cedar.
Yep.
I would
Then-
say you should go with pressure treated, but that's
Oh,
just me.
yeah.
I think
Okay.
that's just me though. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm married to a wood scientist, so I think it would last a whole lot longer, but
Well, Well, then I like that. Is there going to be
but you
concern
might get
from?
get some pushback, but
Okay.
it doesn't leach, whatever.
Okay. And then I looked around for garden fences and we can do a pretty plain old one it's basically it's just a steel gate. What's that? Oh, chain
Chain link.
kind of look. Yeah, chain link. Then there's the question about a shed. A 10 by 8 foot galvanized steel shed at Lowe's is $319. And then it goes up from there. Okay, we like that. I think we should get a picnic table. The reason that I put in is if one of the reasons for having this is to have it be a place to build community. It might be nice for people to be able to sit down, place to talk with each other, to gather. So I'd like to put a picnic table or 2 in.
For the picnic table, I have a question into Mary Ann. We bought picnic tables, select board bought picnic tables to put outside the library maybe 4 years ago.
Mhm.
And I would prefer those. I think we're talking close to $400 for a picnic table. So put $500 in there. It's worth it.
Okay.
It's not, yeah, you want a sturdy one that you buy once.
Okay, yeah, I was looking at the commercial grade picnic tables and
Yeah.
then just the ordinary old picnic tables. And those commercial grade ones, you could have a meteor land on it and have lunch on it the next day, I think.
Yeah.
Aren't
The
they
ones
the
by the
big-
library are
Sorry.
The ones by the library are fine, and
Okay.
I'll just, yeah, I remember the company that we did it from, but I didn't have the memory top
Okay.
of my head.
So
Are
the
they
but
also plastic wood and not wood?
Yeah, those are plastic wood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so the budget with a number of things missing was $5,095. The dirt, we're gonna end up with more dirt. We're gonna end up with a shed and other things. So let's say $6,500 for materials. That
And
leaves us,
delivery too, you wanted to
and the
add.
delivery, right. So let's say that's $8,000, which is probably high. That leaves $12,000. And we have some in-kind labor, but it looks like, and BZ, you had said this earlier, that we'll likely want to hire someone. I mean, for example, putting
I
up
mean,
the fence.
Yeah, and taking all those rocks out. I mean, I think we could hire some teenagers in the
Okay.
summer.
Yep.
You know, give some teenagers a job for 12 bucks an hour or whatever the minimum wage is, and they'd probably love that. Some, you know, middle school age kids could get out there and pick out rocks. I mean,
Can I be the overseer?
yes, you can.
Oh, and that's another thing that we could put into the community aspect to it, is that we are going to be hiring local teenagers for a summer
Yeah, summer job.
jobs.
Yeah. Because, you know, no adult in their right mind is going to go up there and volunteer to take rocks out of the soil. I mean,
John just walked by and gave a thumbs up to that one, BZ.
Not in his right mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
and that's how all the stone walls in New England were made originally anyway. It was teenagers made those, you know. Go back. It's a history project.
Okay. So I'll put in, I'll just figure out how many hours we have money for. Now, the other thing which I have not done, I've spent quite a bit of time on this one, so I have not done anything about what we're going to need as a maintenance budget. And I wonder if somebody else could please do some work on that, because I'm not really sure what is going to be needed on an annual basis, not having ever really done a garden.
We're going to need compost on an annual basis. You also, one of the things you didn't put in here was hosing.
Oh, hosing, that's right. That was another question. How long should the hoses be? Or hose? We only need one hose because there's only one hookup on the tank.
We'll need to be able to get from one end to the other. So we'll at least need 100 feet of hose.
Okay.
And we'll
And
need,
and remember, we talked about having the tanks near
Yeah.
town hall.
so put in 150 feet
I would, yeah.
at least. And we're going to need a nozzle.
I don't know if if you're just using a gravity feed from that tank,
No, maybe not
it's
enough.
gonna be
No.
hard getting
Yeah.
that there. I mean, I was thinking that what you were gonna do is fill things and then deliver, you know, the buckets and put the water in that way. If you're gonna have a hose.
Oh, gravity feed with the hose would, I mean, the hose will get it. You can still get the trickle coming out.
I mean,
Yeah.
if somebody wants, they can certainly take their buckets up and fill them up there. But
Yeah.
we'll also offer the hose. So,
Well, I think one of the things we should have in the budget is
Oh.
small items, you know,
Mhm.
and have like about $1,000 worth of, you'll
That's a
be
good idea.
surprised how, you know, this little thing, that little thing, we forgot this, we forgot that.
I just want to make sure that it wasn't lost that I'm asking for help. This has been extremely time consuming, extremely difficult. And I do not know anything. So this has been quite a challenge. So I know you're telling me what I need to do, but I'm asking, can someone please help?
I'll do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also, I just wanted to clarify, my understanding was that we can't apply for money for maintenance, that it had to be creation and then upgrading.
Yeah.
The money is not available for things categorized as maintenance. Is that correct? This was something that Sid Remain in Pelham had said to me, like that they didn't think when they created the garden, they didn't think about the fact that they'd want wood chips again the second year. And she was recommending get several years of wood chips or something.
Oh, Okay.
Because if you, next year, you can't go back and say, oh, we need to keep this up. You can say, oh, now we want to build the shed that we never built, let's say, or now we want to put in a second picnic table or something, but you can't say, oh yeah, more wood chips for
Yeah,
maintenance.
we could say we want more money for, to expand it and, you know, to expand the perimeter or to get another, another, water tank, but yeah, you can't maintain. What are the,
Okay.
I just, hold on a second.
Well, I'm looking at the page and what it says, if ongoing maintenance is required, who will be responsible for it and how will it be funded? Suggesting that that's not part of what they do.
Right.
Elaine, what happened to remember when the select board had special project money? That's probably what,
Yep.
and people had really creative ideas about
Mm-hmm.
planting, 10,000 daffodils in town and
Yep.
building a town gazebo for concerts. And did all that money get spent or what happened? Is there a fund of that?
That wasn't, under my reign.
That was an offshoot of the visioning process that we did, was to start a small projects, but the select board did take it over and they put out sort of an RFP for
Yep.
suggested projects, and there were a few responses, and I mean, we weren't involved with it, our committee, it just, select board took it over, and I think they funded a couple of things, but then it seems like it just kind of faded away.
Fell away.
Now, it doesn't mean that it's gone forever, though. It may still be in place if someone asks to reinvigorate that. So that's worth checking with the
Yeah, I
current
just thought it
select
might be
board.
worth checking out if there's a fund, if some of that money is still around.
It's not money that was held aside. I think it was just something that
Oh,
was
it
going to
wasn't.
come out of the select board budget slush fund. I mean,
All right.
extra money that they have available.
Okay, never mind.
Well, it's a nice thought.
No, but you're right, Christine, about, it not being, we can't do maintenance with it. So maintenance, we're gonna have to think about, if we boost the amount of compost we get in the first year, and if we expand, then we'll be able to use it. But for maintenance, we're gonna have to rely on, the individual gardener's, fee that we set a sliding scale of $25 to $100 a year.
Yeah, extra compost and wood chips. And, the thing is, I've worked on projects sort of like this in the past, and I think you get a better result when you do have participants who take over the plots have some vested interest.
Yep.
Financial and physical. And
Yep.
not a lot of money, but enough so that they feel committed to maintaining what they've put in. So requiring some kind of small contribution for the plot, maybe not the first year, but at some point,
Mhm.
or at least saying, you can do either money or in-kind materials, additional compost or whatever is usually a good idea.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of expenses other than physical labor and then just amending the soil as needed. And that will be up to the individual plot gardeners, I would think.
One thing that I would like to add to our list, and I will help you, Barbara, on this, is to have a compost bin.
Mm.
Mm.
I want a compost bin, and I would like to put in there, and I don't think we need it now. As we were talking about deer fencing, what we have, the way our garden is situated, we are enclosed by blueberry bushes and the woods, and so it makes it a very safe place for deer, and it is a walkthrough for deer. And so about maybe July is when each year they would realize that, oh, there's a garden in there and there's food in there. And so they would jump our fence, our 4-foot fence. And so we ended up putting extender poles on top of each of the posts and then just wrapping the deer fencing around, and it just works just fine. So I want to put that in there, although I don't think we're going to need it in the first year and we might never need it, but I'd like to put that in the budget.
Okay,
You mentioned the compost bin also, and I'd just say, one compost bin probably won't cut it for a garden
Mhm.
that size. So maybe what you want to consider is maybe on the back side of the garden, just putting a few kind of fenced
Mm,
Oh,
areas.
that's what I meant for a compost, but I wasn't thinking an
bin.
actual bin. I was,
Okay, so maybe like 3 slots so that you can be filling them up and then turning them over and putting them in the other one,
yeah.
whatever.
definitely.
Well,
Oh.
in that regard, maybe we should save, we shouldn't spend money on the shed and the picnic table this year because people aren't going to be out there gardening this year anyway.
Well, that's why it's more than a 1-year plan.
Well, that's what I mean, but if we can't get money for
We can't.
maintenance, yeah.
No, no,
So,
no. We can get money for those things in this initial budget. We don't have to spend it all in 1 year.
okay,
Yeah, it can be a 2-3
you can
year.
roll it over.
It's a 2 or 3 year project.
Okay,
Once they give it to us, once they give us the money that we want, it's ours.
And
There really isn't, we're just having trouble now with some of the projects that we've funded as to, we don't have any mechanism for getting that money back if they've never used it.
okay.
I
So
thought it's reimbursable money, though. They basically earmark the money for your use, but they don't give you the money until you give them the bills and you get reimbursed.
but there's no way to take it back
Once it's been earmarked?
once it's been earmarked.
Oh, really? That's hard to believe.
Well, we have 3 projects outstanding right now that we never had an agreement. We're putting together a better mechanism for that to have an agreement, but we don't have that on those 3 projects that haven't been done. And so there's money out there that we haven't been able to pull back. And so it's sitting in a pot waiting. It's not given to them, but it's sitting in the pot waiting.
Right.
So
Well,
I'm
some time period where if the money's not spent, it reverts back to the committee.
there should be, and
Yeah.
that's what we're working on now, is to create that agreement that will be signed by everybody who actually gets money, so that we have a way to pull it back. But it can be a 2 to 3 year project easily.
oh, another question. How many wheelbarrows, how many garden carts?
2,
2 each or
nah,
one of each?
2, I would say 2 garden carts. If we're gonna have, a choice, people would much prefer a garden cart.
Okay.
And let me just suggest, if you get the kind that Gardener Supply has,
Mhm.
they have, that's a nice cart. We got the medium size and it's a really great size. I mean, you could get one medium and one large, but I think the large gets hard for people to maneuver. So if you have, people who aren't real beefy, maybe 2 medium ones would make sense. And they hold a lot and they're really stable. They're really wonderful. I can't believe we just got one last year and I didn't have it for the last 25 years. And if you have that, you really don't need a wheelbarrow. They're so stable.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
You might want to get 3. I don't know.
I'll price them out.
Yeah, they're like $350 a piece, somewhere in that range.
Yeah. Okay, so
Okay.
I think that other than the budget, we're pretty well set with this. So if Barbara and I work on the budget, we have to be aware of open meeting law, that we can't just talk back and forth. Barbara and I can, because we're only 2 of us and we are not a majority then of the committee. So we'll have to have one more quick meeting where we send out the final form to all of you and you all read it over and look over the budget, and then we'll have one final meeting where we approve it, and then we'll send it along.
Okay.
When does that meeting have to be by,
We
Elaine?
have to have this in by February 1st.
Ah, okay.
I believe
And
it's
we
1st.
need letters from people, right? And
Yes, yes.
so I can do that. I can try to get, make sure we get a letter from Mary Ann. I'll make sure she writes something.
Okay, I had already asked her and she said she would, so why
I'll
don't
follow up.
why don't you follow up and you can send her our, the document that we have right now that Barbara sent out.
Okay.
And Meryl, will you send one from the garden?
Yeah, that's actually the reason I came today. And I had a few questions related to that. Who should the letter be addressed to?
The Community Preservation Committee.
Okay, it doesn't go to you guys.
No, you would,
And who's the chair of that right now?
it's a co-chair, Al Hansen and Rita Farrell.
Rita's still the co-chair?
Yep, because she's on select board, so she's the select board representative. She and I switched places.
Okay, and then do you want me to send a paper letter or is an emailed one okay?
Email is fine. And just, it's in support of the Shutesbury Recreation Committee request for community preservation funds. And BZ.
Can you send me a copy of that, your draft as well? It would be helpful in writing the letter.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll send it to you right now. BZ, can you get a, also a letter of support from the school?
Yes, I can do that. I can
So we'll
talk to Jackie about that.
We'll have the school, we'll have the library, we'll have the garden club. Is anybody else?
And what about Steve Sullivan and the,
Okay, why don't you do that?
I can ask Steve too.
Okay,
All right. I'll ask Jackie, Steve, Mary Ann.
and Meryl, we've asked you.
Yep.
And so just have them send the letter. It has to be it can be electronic, sending it to the Community Preservation Committee.
Okay.
And it's the letter in support of the Shutesbury Recreation Committee application for CPC funds.
Okay.
Sorry, BZ, in addition to the school and Mary Ann, who else
Mhm.
were you going to ask?
Oh, Steve Sullivan at the town, at, the
Highway Department,
Yeah,
highway
Yeah,
department.
okay. Okay,
and then the Shutesbury Garden Club.
right.
I mean, I'm sure that we don't need all those letters, but it does sort of alert people that we're seriously, doing the project. I mean, and then they can sort of think about it a little bit. I mean, I don't think we really need it. Maybe I'm wrong, Elaine, but I don't think we need it to get the money from CPC, but I do think it makes all these other people in town start to know what we're up to, kind of.
Yep.
Because this has to get approved at town meeting too, so,
Right.
and you know how town meeting is.
Christine has her hand up.
Oh, there she is, yes.
I
Christine,
can talk to Steve if you want.
all right,
I can talk to Steve.
You can talk to Steve. Is that what you said?
Yep.
okay.
Okay. So are we meeting a week or 2 weeks from today to go over this again?
Well, 2 weeks from today is the 20-something, 25th?
28th, I think.
28th, the 28th. So do you want to meet then?
Does that give us enough time?
Well, it depends. Can people respond to written materials? So if we send something out,
No.
they cannot, then it doesn't seem to me that it's likely that there's going to be any huge disagreements or areas of conflict. The only thing well, no, I think we'll be fine. Meeting
Well,
on the
I
28th.
was gonna say we should do it next week, just to give us another I don't know. I don't like meeting that close. If something came up,
Oh,
then we wouldn't
okay.
have a lot of time to,
On the
Uh,
20, okay, so that would be on the 21st?
yes, that'd be my, I don't know. I think we're cutting it a little close if we do it that,
Mhm.
the 28th.
Okay, so at 1:30?
Could we make it later on the 21st?
Sure.
Nope. I have,
No,
I have.
no. Oh, that's right. Oh, no.
4:30. I have a 3 to 4:30 meeting on the 21st. We could make it after that.
That would work really well for me if it's later.
5?
I have another meeting at 5, so I
Ooh.
can't do later.
Well, could we do it at 2, from 2 to 3? It was not gonna take,
You know, I'll make it work.
If it will.
would 2 be better for you, Barbara?
2 would be better, yeah.
Sure, I can
Make
do
it
it.
at 2 and then I'll just drop off at 3 if I have to.
Okay,
I think it only will take us an hour. We're a very streamlined committee, Meryl, just want to let you know.
That's awesome. You guys are awesome. It's an exciting proposal. I'm happy to hear it. Yeah. Elaine, are you going to be sending me the copy of the proposal?
I just did.
Okay, great. Thank you. Super.
Okay, so I'll set up the
Okay.
meeting. And is there anything else? What else we got going on? We
Nothing.
good? Can we adjourn?
We can adjourn.
yes.
All right,
All
thank you
right.
all for coming.
Oh.
And wait a minute, before you guys go, before you go, the schooling is this. I will not send out the invitation to the Zoom meeting. You go to the town website. Under the town website, there's the tab that says meetings. Under meetings, go to the calendar. And the calendar will have the CPC meeting on the calendar. Just click that and that's where the Zoom link is.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's all.
Bye.
All right, see you next week.
Thanks for joining us, Meryl.
You're welcome. Thanks. Good luck.